shot down in May.
Good afternoon. The racing world is in shock following the sudden death overnight of top jockey Stathi Katsidis, apparently from an overdose of the illegal party drug GHB, also known prophetically as grievous bodily harm or fantasy. He was found dead at his home in Brisbane this morning by his partner Melissa Jackson. Katsidis, aged 31, rode the up-and-coming shootout to a big win in the AJC Derby at Randwick in April, and he was due to ride the horse again in the Cox Plate this Saturday. Drugs and alcohol have been part of Katsidis' saddlebags for a long time. In February 2008, he was disqualified for 9 months for testing positive to ecstasy. That same year, he was fined and disqualified from driving for 6 months with a blood alcohol level 3 times over the limit. Earlier this year, he came under fire from the stewards in New South Wales when he claimed that ecstasy use was widespread amongst jockeys. He said, and I quote, "It goes on. Footy players and jockeys take it. Well, probably about half of them might do it. When you take things like that, it's good for your weight, because instead of drinking piss, you drink water." So with Spring Carnival upon us, it makes you think about the world of racing, and you wonder if jockeys are treated differently to other sports stars. Is their image being protected? I mean, Chris Muntz was lauded at the weekend for winning the Caulfield Cup. He'd just done time in jail for racing crimes in Hong Kong. Another famous jockey has had his name suppressed and hasn't been suspended, despite facing serious criminal allegations and having had several court appearances in recent weeks. Now, if Katsidis was a footballer, there'd already been headlines about how rife is drug taking among players, a la Ben Cousins. I mean, they're always going on about swabbing horses, so I asked the question, how often are jockeys drug tested? Victorian racing rules go on about random tests for jockeys, and I read the rules today, and it says, to ensure the safety and welfare of industry participants and prohibited substances have not been taken. How about the welfare of the punters? I mean, aren't you entitled to be confident that the guy on the back of the nag you just bet on wasn't filling his face with fantasy the night before instead of a feed? And that's why sometimes I think that Damon Runyon was right when he described a jockey as, quote, 7 stone of larceny. Now, today's events, sad as they are for the jockey's family and friends, do not at all reflect well on the self-styled sport of kings. On the line, front man for BC3 Thoroughbreds and Channel 7 racing commentator, and of course the former champion jockey, Simon Marshall. Good afternoon.
G'day, Derryn. How are you?
I'm well. It's very sad for the racing industry and for his family and for his friends, but he opened this can of worms about drug taking, illicit illegal drug taking in the racing business. Is it that widespread?
Personally, Derryn, I don't think it is. With regards to jockeys, you just touched on that it's a random test throughout a 12-month season, and on certain big Group 1 days, the stewards actually get every jockey in the stewards room and test them regularly. So this is an unfortunate case, and it's a suspected drug overdose at this stage with young Stathi, and yes, he does have a history with it, and at 31 years of age, it's just a sad, sad tale if that is the case. Yeah,
because I know when back in April this year, after he made those claims, I know, in fairness to the New South Wales racing stewards, they reacted pretty quickly to it, and they got in touch with him and said, hey, name names. And from memory from that story, he couldn't name names or he wouldn't name names.
Yeah, well, young men put in that position when they've done the wrong thing, and they know they've done the wrong thing, can say stupid things and silly things at times.
So, like, it's just not just me, it's everybody sort of thing. Yeah.
I would think so, Derryn, because he's obviously got egg on his face at the time. He would have gone bright red and come up with something stupid and just blurbed that out. Well, it's very well known in society that there's drugs are rampant. On the roads, we get deaths all the time and so forth. Now, if you're riding a 500-kilo horse and you're as fit as a fiddle and you're working 24/7, 7 days a week and getting out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, you've got to be a bloody lunatic to get on a horse after taking drugs.
Well, that's the truth, because I mean, those guys, in my mind, you were a jockey. They are machines underneath you, and that's like you can be driving a deadly weapon that can, and your own safety's at risk here.
Correct, Derryn. You're exactly right. You might be the safest jockey in the saddle, Or let me put it this way, you might be the safest driver out there on the roads, but it's everybody else you've got to worry about. And that would be the same case with the jockey. But I couldn't possibly imagine getting on top of a horse and being a past jockey and being expected to go out there and perform my best. You would get found out straight away whether you were tampering or not quite right in the mind, and also body. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous in a way to label, I suppose, jockeys this day and age, that it's rampant through the system. The National Jockeys Foundation and VJA, the Victoria Jockeys Association, they work terribly hard on making sure that we're clean and we're athletes. We have access to biochemists, sports science, naturopaths, dietitians. You know, as I mentioned, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and you've got to be 110% right.
Yeah, but that would be true. And of course, once you're in a race, you are probably you're watched more closely than any other sport in the business. I mean, you can talk about football and video cameras, etc. But when you're looking for, the stewards are watching you like hawks about running interference or lagging it or whatever.
Yeah, in detail, attention to detail from the stipendiary stewards with riding. Even if you happen to ride a horse against its normal pattern, you will get called in this day and age, and you will get drilled in depth. So, this is just a sad, sad tale, and I really feel for his family, his wife Melissa, and his young son.
Yeah. All right, Simon, thanks for your time. I appreciate you coming on.
It's a pleasure, Darren.
Thank you. Bye-bye.